I dedicate this 1000th goal to the fight against poverty and hunger.
In a small town called Três Corações, Brazil, in 1940, a baby named Edson Arantes do Nascimento was born, a child who would one day make the whole world remember that name. His family lived a modest life, surviving day by day with love stronger than their poverty. His father, Dondinho, was once a talented local footballer whose dreams were shattered by a knee injury that ended his career far too soon. His mother, Dona Celeste, a strong and compassionate woman, carried the weight of the family with quiet grace. She often served simple meals of black beans and white rice, yet she seasoned them with laughter and faith. Edson grew up in a small, humble home filled with warmth and hope. They didn't have much, but they had each other, and dreams that reached beyond the dusty streets of their town. Every afternoon, his father would sit by the doorway and tell stories about the magic of football, how the game could unite people and make them smile even when life was unkind. One day, after hearing that Brazil had lost the 1950 World Cup, Dondinho wept silently. Between sobs, he told his young son, "Son, one day, you will bring victory to Brazil." Little Edson looked into his father's tearful eyes, not yet understanding what the World Cup meant, but he understood the weight of sorrow. From that day, he made a silent promise in his heart, a promise to make his father smile again and to chase that dream no matter how far it seemed. But life was harsh for the boy. His family had little, and owning a pair of shoes felt like owning gold. To help his mother, Edson began working as a shoeshine boy at the local train station, his small hands polishing the leather of strangers. With an old tin of polish, a worn piece of cloth, and a hopeful heart, he cleaned shoes until they shone, dreaming of shining on a field one day. Some days he earned a few coins, other days only a kind smile. But for young Edson, even that was enough to keep his dream alive. When his work was done, he would race through the streets to the dusty open field where his friends waited, barefoot and laughing, ready to play. Their ball was nothing more than old socks rolled up tight and tied together with string, fragile, but filled with their imagination. Their shoes were crafted from old newspapers, folded and wrapped around their feet, held together with bits of string. They tore easily on the rocky ground. Yet for the boys, they were enough to make them feel like real footballers, ready to chase their dreams. Amid those games, among laughter and dust, a spark began to grow, a talent that none of them yet understood. Edson played with a fierce joy, kicking every ball as if it carried his whole life's purpose. He played barefoot until his small feet were rough with calluses and sometimes streaked with blood, but he never stopped smiling. Deep down, he knew that every kick, every scar, and every breath on that dusty field was taking him one step closer to his dream. One day, after scoring a beautiful goal on that dirt field, a friend shouted, "Olo Pele," mimicking the name of a local goalkeeper, Pele, but with a child's mispronunciation. Everyone laughed, but the name stuck, Pele. At first, Edson didn't like it, but soon the name became his identity. From socks and paper balls, a legend was born, Pele. He began attracting attention from local coaches and later joined a small club, Bauru Athletic Club. Pele trained harder than anyone else. He knew that poverty was no excuse to quit. At age 15, he was recruited by the big club Santos FC. The journey was tough, but he never gave up. He wanted to bring pride to his family and his country. In 1958, at just 17, Pele stunned the world. Sent to Sweden as a little-known teenager, he became the youngest goal scorer in World Cup history. In the final against Sweden, he scored twice, sealing Brazil's first-ever world title. As the whistle blew, Pele fell to his knees and wept, a boy who had turned his father's dream into reality. 4 years later, in 1962, he returned to the World Cup in Chile. Though sidelined by injury, his determination inspired his teammates to defend the crown. Brazil triumphed again, and Pele learned that greatness also means lifting others when you can no longer run. In 1970, under the blazing Mexican sun, Pele led the greatest Brazilian team ever seen. He scored in the final against Italy, raising his arms to the sky as Brazil claimed its third World Cup, a moment that forever sealed him as the king of football. From a shoeshine boy, he became a national hero. But behind the glory, Pele never forgot where he came from. He knew what hunger felt like, and he knew what it meant to have no shoes. Pele and Garrincha were more than teammates. They were two poor Brazilian boys who danced together on the green field and made the world fall in love. Garrincha's legs were crooked from birth, yet from that imperfection came magic, dribbles that made defenders lose their way. When injury and alcohol took away his glory, Pele quietly helped, paying his rent, leaving envelopes on his kitchen table without a name. In Garrincha's final years, as he lay sick in bed, Pele paid for his hospital care. Beside the bed, the king whispered, "We won together, and I won't let you lose alone." In 1969, at Maracanã Stadium, Pele scored his 1,000th professional goal. When reporters rushed in with microphones, he said with a trembling voice, "I dedicate this goal to the poor children of Brazil. Let's fight hunger together." From that day, Pele was no longer just a footballer. He became a symbol of hope and humanity. One night in Rio de Janeiro in the 1970s, Pele had just left a charity event. On the roadside sat an old man holding a sign that read, "Com fome, qualquer ajuda," hungry any help. Without saying much, Pele walked over and handed him some cash. The man looked up, eyes wide, and whispered, "Senor Pele, você é uma benção." "Mr. Pele, you are a blessing." Pele smiled, patted his shoulder, and softly said, "Hoje é você. Amanhã pode ser eu. Esse eu esquecer dar carinho." Today it's you. Tomorrow it could be me, if I forget to give love. He believed that poverty was not a shame, but a test of compassion. Once, in the city of Santos, he heard of a young boy who urgently needed heart surgery. The family could not afford the operation. Quietly, and without any publicity, Pele went to the hospital and covered every cost. The boy survived. Years later, Pele received a simple letter of gratitude from him, written with tears of hope and remembrance. When he read the letter, he realized that true victory wasn't scoring goals, it was saving lives. In the years that followed, he founded the Nascimento Foundation, dedicated to children's education and health. He later became a UNICEF ambassador, fighting hunger and child mortality. In 1995, Pele was appointed Brazil's Minister of Sports. Many doubted him, but he proved his heart was as strong as his legs. He introduced the Pele Law, a reform that transformed Brazilian football. Before it, many young players from poor families were bound by unfair contracts controlled by clubs and agents. Having known poverty himself, Pele understood how easily dreams could be stolen. As Minister of Sports, he fought to give players the right to fair contracts and control over their own careers. The Pele Law became more than just legislation. It was his promise that every player deserved freedom and dignity in the game he loved.